Okay, there we are. I'll be right back. So, here's the irony of some of this. You know, when you're standing outside of a meeting that you would go to anyways, but you're also court ordered to go to, and somebody comes walking up to you, at first they do something to make you flinch, which for me is usually I'm gonna fucking send my elbow into your eye socket or your throat or your fucking chest or somewhere. I'm gonna grab something or I'm gonna strike something. Unless you stop. And then I stop. Usually like a fraction of an inch before I strike. And then for somebody to show me a book that says the word is Satan or some shit by some Joe Graham and ask me if I know them. No, I don't know them. So, there's all this stuff. And, here's the thing. Satanism, for most of them, is just a tool to fuck with people. They're really not Satanists. They just like the shock value and the novelty of the fucking bullshit. They put on this presumptuous fucking presumptive bullshit. They put on airs and they act like they're respectful and intellectual by using big words and playing little fucking string together word games and shit. But they're really, they're really not Satanists. But here's the funny part. They're more Satanists than the ones that actually are into Satanism. You know what I mean? The ones that's their spiritual belief. It's really fucking weird when you think of it. Because at least the ones that are doing it for the spiritual reasons or whatever and do practice those do unto others as you have done unto you, somebody fucks with you, you fuck them back kind of thing. Yeah, it's really not any different than do unto others as you would have done unto you. It's just a little reversal. So if you got two sides that one side believes do unto others as you would have done unto you, and the other one believes fuck them before they fuck you. Oh, wait a second. That's the difference, right? You see, some of these people use your Satanist whatever. I mean, I'm not too into it. I only hear it here and there. I'm not into it at all, actually. Quite often we're at odds because of spiritual beliefs, ideologies. Usually it's because of you and them. I can give a fuck less if you want to go to hell. At this point, honestly, I'm not here to save your soul. If your soul needs saving, it's fucking too late. Let me see, how can I put this in other ways? I care. It's not my job to save your soul. I care more about the person, their emotional well-being, how they conduct themselves in society, how I conduct myself in society, how we all interact. I give a fuck more about that than what you call God or why you chose to become some Satanist or whatever. And you see, here's the other part of it. Some of these people, they fuck with people and they put on this little hint of Satanism or they throw that out there so that if you ever have or you ever react in a loud fashion, the word Satanist comes into play, right? And then you start saying, the Satanists are after me. And then people think you're crazy, right? Hey, you want me to tell you how some of these assholes are destabilizing America? That includes you Satanists. They're destabilizing you guys too. They destabilized the gay, homosexual community, the transvestite, the transsexual. I'm sorry if I don't get all the names right. I keep track of this other stuff. So, when somebody out there can keep track of everything and speak in every fucking venue, in every fucking crowd, and not piss anybody off, when you can fucking do that, you can tell me how to fucking talk. I know how to fucking talk. I played your fucking game. You wanted to convince me that nobody understood what I was saying, this, that, and the other thing, so that I would get frustrated. I would try to, until I finally started explaining stuff in hard to understand ways, or I threw in a bunch of King Arthur stuff, or stuff that could be taken as possibly a little, or I'm dumb. I don't even know how to talk. Yet I didn't lie. I actually do come from the Canty tribe, and I actually am the hereditary king, if you want to call it the Canty tribe. Can't I? I don't know. Can you? That's so fucking hilarious. I don't know whether I'm offended by that or not. I would have called us the Cantu. Cantilavunai. But hey, it's Hollywood, UK style, right? So, all right, you can call me a Canty. Well, what tribe are you? I'm going to start telling people I'm of the tribe Canty. Oh, that's on a TV show. Yeah, but that TV show you're fucking watching is based on history, too, so fuck off. But hey, just because all this stuff is coming out, it's becoming part of pop culture, don't worry about it. Don't worry about the fact that you tried to appropriate my stuff. You tried to get me to conform to whatever sick, twisted ideologies you have. Something always told me I had to stick to my guns. I had to stand my ground. Because I've always believed in God. I've always had faith in God. And God kind of nudges me in certain directions. And I've spent time listening to plenty of people that have admitted they were Satanists, and some are good, some are bad. It's who's for me to judge where their soul's at, right? But if I'm conducting a ceremony or giving a teaching or talking to somebody or a group of people, and I talk about God and I talk about the Bible and I talk about Satan and I talk about all that other stuff and how there's demons out there and stuff that'll fuck with you. If you're a Satanist and you get offended, well, why the fuck are you there in the first place? Why are you listening to my channel in the first place? Somebody shows me one of your books. Yeah, okay, why'd you show me that? What interest do I have in reading that? I already know it's going to piss me off. You trying to convert me? Oh. Is that it? You sometimes groups of you will deprive somebody that you see as whatever. You want me to legitimize you just like you asked my ancestor to legitimize Rome? Yeah, it was the whole conflict between Caractacus and Rome. That's why Rome couldn't crucify him. That's why Rome didn't execute Caractacus, is because they found out that, oh shit, he's the actual royal bloodline. Yeah, we got tired of, when you guys started all that fucking conquest bullshit, that's why Rome didn't have a legitimate king. And they ended, but they still took what we had started, with the Senate and all that other stuff, not having a king or whatever, started on all that elected official kind of crap or whatever, right? So, when I'm surrounded by these people that believe in something totally different than I do, and I'm put into the environments that I have no choice but to interact and form relationships with people that may or may not see eye to eye with me, and nor I with them, on what we call God. They call it Satan, but they're acting more Christian than half these Christians. I have to wonder. Or is it a ruse to get me to convert? You know what I mean? You never know about these fucking cults, of which Ukiah is well known for. Ukiah gave birth to one of the greatest cults ever. Remember Jonestown? So you know what? You guys should be more ashamed of yourself than pointing fingers. California. Hey, California. Here's a gun Now go shoot yourself. Oh, you want me to paint it with fluffy Okay, here's a pink gun with daisies painted on it. And the bullets are made out of pure silver, so it's spiritually pure. Now go shoot yourself. And fucking look at what California did. California went and shot itself. And these people that use mind games. Come on. Do you think Aquinas started that Church of Set and he didn't teach his acolytes his psychological warfare techniques? Now, that would be an act of treason, wouldn't it? That would be big no-no concerning classifications and shit like that. Because if he was teaching it in a religious sense to his acolytes in the temple as Set, aka Satanists, that could be considered an act of treason, couldn't it? I'm very sure that there are things that people that come out of the military with special skills, that training and yada yada blah blah, they have a list of never teach a civilian these things. So, but then he goes and publishes the book Mind Wars, which gives basic rudimentary stuff, more than likely. Another book I have no need to read, because it would just piss me off, and it would just be reading stuff I probably already know. Just it would only make it a bit clearer on how to use that stuff. I would rather learn how to defend against it. And part of it is exactly what Jordan Peterson has been telling you. So how is it that Jordan Peterson and I are on the same page? He's got an education. He's a Canadian. You know how fucking liberal Canadians are. Yeah, I'm probably I could probably technically be categorized 100 years ago as a legitimate gentleman liberal. You know what liberal meant back in the day? You spoke your mind. You gave your opinion freely. You explored different things. You tried new, but you were still a gentleman. What I see now are a lot of, what are they called? Libertines? Libertines, yeah. A libertine is into debauchery and stuff. So when I'm kind of squoze out of being in like a safe environment, even though there might have been people in a camp over or two or whatever, drinking beer or whatever, I could tolerate that, and that's fine. But when people are asking me if I have dope or some shit at a whole nother place, it kind of makes me worried. What about me looks like I would have that? And if I had it, I wouldn't be selling it, would I? Do I look like the type of person that would deal in those things? No worries. I'm not upset at the person that asked. I mean, they just asked. But to basically be put in that environment and only given access to people that are doing nothing, well, what happens if you hang out with stupid people? Some people will tell you become stupid. You hang around unsuccessful people, you become unsuccessful, right? So it really does seem like I'm still being contained and confined in a bit of a covert way for some reason. Oh, they want to test to see if I'm angry. What's so important about how angry I get and about how angry, because I don't matter to you, right? I don't matter to anybody in the world, do I? Does my opinion matter that much that My anger levels might sway other people's actions in some sense with how I say something. So you want me to say these things as calm as possible? And you're going to test me too. And you're going to test me too. Somebody that I could probably piss off really quick and point out where all your little flaws are. And then when I notice in these restraining orders of people that I've never even met, why are the last names the same in certain areas? I don't know. I really don't want to check to see how related they all are. You guys got a lot of nepotism going on in this county, but then you chalk it up to saying, oh, well, nobody else has enough schooling or training. Yeah, because you didn't let them. Did you guys let me go to school? Or did you jam me up and get in my way? I mean, I probably could have streamlined your mental health system. I could have probably made it more efficient and more effective. You would have had to just let me do what I do. Come up with some notes and listen to my suggestions. You did once a week briefing. I monitor stuff and then I come in and give you some suggestions. I look at a few files, I give you a few suggestions. You come to me with a hard case or something, I give you a few suggestions. But for you guys to assume that I'm schizophrenic or whatever, because my abstract reasoning is on the other end of the spectrum to yours. My comprehension levels are on the other end of the spectrum to yours. You're at 15%. You see the burden I have? You comprehend and understand 15% of everything you read, see, or hear. See, that's your problem, is you're only focused on that 15%. I'm looking at 85%. And those are actual tests, okay? I didn't score myself. And obviously I didn't score that high anywhere around here due to favoritism. But there are a few tests in your local community here that you guys have in your files that should confirm what I just said. So why wouldn't you want to educate somebody like me? Why would you accuse me of being a terrorist and several other things? A Satanist even. Sorry, I might have been around a few pedophiles and stuff and whatever, but I never covered for them. I never dealt drugs to them that I know of. I never bought drugs from them that I know of. I never entered in any business ventures with them that I know of. My life is not tied to their life in any way, shape, or form that I know of. But there are a lot of people with authority and can pull strings and whatnot that have tied themselves to those pieces of shit. What's it take? One party, a few pictures to manipulate a person? If you're the one taking the pictures and you're the ones pointing the fingers, and you don't allow anybody else to take pictures and point fingers, who gets heard and who gets believed? Now imagine the person that took the picture, imagine the things that they've done. Because you got to figure, if somebody gets pictures on somebody or whatever, or sets them up and gets a recording, how many times have they done that to be that efficient? Oh, yeah. And then when they were triggering that thing in my neck a few months back where I was up for 4 days, there was somebody there trying to set me up too. So you guys call yourself Satanists. I don't know what you are. But you're not the Aquino type. You might be acolytes, if that, but I would assume that the Aquino types would highly dislike what you've done. Because you see, there is this thing about humanity and respect and compassion and, these really core truths that transcend whether you call yourself a fucking Satanist, a Buddhist, or a Christian, right? There's no room for religious ideologies in a fucking foxhole, is there? Everybody's praying to God, right? Most Satanists are really just hedonists. It just gives them a religious pass or something. It gives them a way to justify in their own mind something so that they don't feel guilty based on their parents' messages given to them and shit like that. But I'm not here to give you a psychology fucking lecture. And that's what Jordan Peterson does. So, but I could, but it would take, See, there's the other difference. You see, a person's not going to be able to articulate and speak and all that other stuff as Jordan Peterson does if they're having to move their vehicle every day and fix things and wonder, okay, how much of this is just normal and how much is this if this is being caused. The payoff for them was 20 or 30 years of getting to do what they wanted. Now they're having to. And there's people caught in a crossfire and everything else like that, and they might be upset, and I understand, but there's no way I could have sat back and allowed this to go unchecked. And honestly, I feel like I'm in a better position, a better environment now than I was the past 13 years in that apartment. So, if I can manage to hold down an apartment for 13 years, living underneath 3 different sets of rules and policies and shit. Oh, this group, and this group, I got to abide by this set of policies, this set of policies, and this set of policies. But that guy on parole over there, So I was sitting there for a decade thinking, I have to do more than somebody that just got out of prison to show that I'm doing everything on the up and up. Yeah, I witnessed people's tests getting covered up, drug tests at the ER and stuff, even after they're legally mandated to report somebody that shows up positive for methamphetamine. It doesn't bother me if people are getting away with stuff so much as, well, when they're getting away with it, shoving it in your face, and then you're the one that's getting shafted and people are pointing their finger at you. Why? Oh, because I'm supposed to be the bad guy now, but the Satanists and the pedophiles and the ones dealing the bath salt laden methamphetamines to your kids in high school and junior high school, they're cool people because they smile at you and they have good attitudes. Well, yeah, a criminal has a really good attitude when they're getting away with a crime. Did you ever notice that? Just like a kid when they get away with stealing a cookie out of the cookie jar, right? You get the giggles. Remember getting the giggles when you were a kid, when you got away with something? Do you think that's changed for some of these assholes? No, they still get the giggles. They got stuck in giggle land. Dennis the Menace Giggle Land. I don't know what to call it. Maybe we should call it Giggle Land. So, I hate to be this way, but it's coming to the time where I'm going to have to just ignore people that are fucking spun out, people that say that they're Satanists, people that say they know something but really don't, people that say you could trust me or that they're a lovable person, that they're a good person, that they're a compassionate person. Those are going to start being big red flags for me. And I don't like it because it's like prejudging. I don't like prejudging people. I don't like being prejudiced towards anyone based on, like, oh, you're a drug addict. Well, I know quite a few of them. So why should I favor. But that's just the way I gotta start being, right? So yeah, living in this and all that other stuff is pretty isolated for me still because people in my situation I try to talk to, and it's really hard to talk to them because we don't really have much in common. I have more in common with Jordan Peterson, Jocko Willink, Ollie Matthews, all these guys, those types. I have more in common with them. But I've been forced to live in this environment, in these conditions. I've been forced to. It hasn't been a choice. Because the liberals want to find out who is stronger, nature versus nurture, nurture versus nature. Well, my nature's gonna fucking wring your neck. Oh, there he goes again, playing the word games, and he's making me afraid, but he really didn't threaten me, but he's making me afraid. Yo, word games like you taught me? I saw what you were doing a long fucking time ago and figured, you know what? I could do better, but I won't mean it the way they meant it. My nature is going to strangle your nurturing neck. What's a nurturing neck? And what's my nature? They're abstracts, right? So you want to go to fucking court? Let's bring up everything you've said. Let's bring up all these documents. Hey, how about my x-rays? How many times have I... Oh, and a doctor has looked at my x-rays at the ER, and they did say there was an object in my neck. An unknown object. In other words, they couldn't identify it other than it was an object. Which means it's not supposed to be there. But they don't know what it is. So at least one or two doctors and people have been honest and put and documented it. But the rest of them go, oh, well, that could be an x-ray marker. I'm like, well, I don't see an L on it and I don't see an R on it. I know what x-ray markers look like. You, being a physician, should have looked at enough x-rays to know what one looks like. Well, I'm not an x-ray technician. Okay, well then why don't you fucking get an x-ray technician and ask them? You too lazy? Yeah, I guess after going to college all those years and your internship and all that other stuff, I guess you are a little overworked and underpaid, huh? Wah. Yeah, underpaid and they're driving BMWs. So yeah, keep them volatile, keep them isolated, keep talking shit about him in official channels. Set him up to look like a fool. Well, hey, when it happens in some of your lives and you realize that it's the same thing happening, and you stick your tail between your legs and you go hide in a corner because you're a little fucking pussy, keep your fucking mouth shut. Don't get mad at me for being able to stand up. Just because you feel ashamed of yourself Don't turn your self-shame into hatred towards me and people like me. I'm not ashamed of my race. I'm not ashamed of my sexuality. I'm not ashamed of my spiritual beliefs. Just because some of you blame some of that for all your problems, you haven't done your research well enough to figure out who the fuck to blame. I spent over 15 years trying to figure out somebody's at fault. I've owned my part. And then I saw who really was to blame. Really isn't one person to blame. But then when you got to blame everybody, you tend to piss everybody off, right? But it's got to be done. Somebody's got to say it. How come Jordan Peterson's not come? Oh, because I haven't talked to Jordan Peterson, right? I'm too volatile, right? Or when I do, somebody in the wings will whisper in his ear, and he won't realize that they're kind of like one of those movie spies. That only interject or whisper in somebody's ear if somebody like me comes around that might point a few things out and get the OPSEC and PERSEC all secure so that people can be themselves. Yeah, well, you know what my goal with OPSEC and PERSEC is? You can be yourself and operate at 100%. Isn't that what it's supposed to be meant for? Instead, everybody uses it on a fear-based level. See, your OPSEC and PERSEC has gone to fear-base. What happened to performance base? What happened to being effective? So while you guys are being quiet, because you're OPSEC and PERSEC, you can't look me in the eyes. I don't know what to say, right? Oh yeah, and then my association with the Navy, I guess. What did Aquino? Was Aquino the one that got the banana in the ass? I wonder. Who got the banana in the ass? See there again, OPSEC and PERSEC on a fear-based level. Think about it. If you're trying to put people in the most extreme situation you can without harming them, you're going to end up harming them. You know, there's here. You want me to tell you where Marchenko went wrong in Red Cell? Am I old enough to say that yet? And see, there it is. If I say that like that, then people get upset. But if I say, you know, Red Cell could be made better, what he started, it can be built upon. Some things need to be changed, however. And here's what you do, or what you should have did. Maybe if I could have had more time talking. You test for a baseline, right? See where people are at. Which shouldn't require a major whatever, right? No crazy ass pseudo hostage taking or any of that. But you get a baseline on the security, right? And then what you do is you start a little education program, right? After you get them educated on it, come back in 3 months or whatever, or a month or a week, whatever. And then you give them a more extreme test, one closer to what Marchenko was doing. But then you also walk them through where they could have done better. But then there you run into the OPSEC PERSEC issue, right? Do you really want to be training the entire base that well to counter terrorism? Yes, I do. But what if somebody on the base decides to sympathize with the enemy and tells them, well, there are solutions to that, but should I talk about that now? So, there think tanks and stuff think about all this, and depending on how fear-based it all is, you get what you get, right? So, I'm still baffled at how many times people have tested or tried to get me angry, and I got angry because I was more offended by being tested. And it's like, well, the test is already contaminated. And I try to tell them, like, hey, I already know what you're doing, and that's really what's pissing me off. Kind of a catch-22, huh? Part of my anger, and then if I explain why it angers me, then I've offended the person. According to them, I've offended them. It's like, well, all right, child, don't worry, you'll mature someday. Maybe you won't carry so much shame that you'll look down at the ground when I walk by, and you can look me in the eye and realize that, hey, I understand you were as a child. You're lucky I'm not a very abusive parent, or I would have fucking backhanded your dumb ass. Just kidding. But you're verbally abusive. Well, you're not my kid, are you? You want me to treat you like my kid? Well, then you might not like it, and then you'll probably hit me or something for talking to you that way, as if you were a child. What? So yeah, if something's important enough to get angry about, I believe it's important enough to explain, to go into detail, to think about. Most people just get angry about it. Oh, it made me angry. I don't care. Just you shouldn't have said that. How do you know exactly what they said? You walked in on the conversation. Or what were you doing to elicit that? People are really short-sighted a lot of the time. They lack insight on several levels. So for me, it gets quite annoying. And I'm learning to accept it. I'm learning to accept where I've been at and where I'm at. And I got to just stop trying to tone myself down. Because I used to get abused just for being me. Stop showing off. I'm not showing off. I'm just doing... You know what I mean? Is it better to win or throw the game just so the other person feels better? Which is going to make the other person feel better? You threw the game so, how you want, whatever. Or to play the way you play, because each time that they lose, they will get better. And then there will come the day that they legitimately win. But if you sit there and you throw every third game or something, you're going to teach them bad habits. When you throw the game, you're making an intentional mistake that you wouldn't have otherwise. Anyways, I don't even want to get into that because that'd take another hour to go into, I think. And I'd need to smoke a lot of weed just to fucking talk about that shit, or my brain would hurt. So yeah, I wonder where I would be if I was given the same opportunity as everybody else. Instead of being used by one group, and then used by another group, and then by another group, all because they can. Oh, it's a matter of national security, classified, special access program. You know what I figured out yesterday? They shut down the wrong part of something. Sure did. And they kept the part that was supposed to be shut down running. You ever hear of Operation Yellow Fruit? It could be a situation like that. Well, they did it with an army barracks. So what's the next step from there? Maybe an Army Corps of Engineers site or something like that. Some satellite site that incorporates a lot of civilian personnel. If there's something else going on there off to the side regarding something or whatever. I wonder sometimes, I really do. I mean, and that's where you start running into some really scary shit when you realize the games that agencies and military branches have played with one another. I mean, just look at the Stargate program. It's been bounced back and forth between the DIA and the CIA since I was born. Actually, a little after I was born. You know why they charge $50 for a bolt and $500 for a toilet seat? I don't know how much of a secret that is, but there is actually a legitimate reason. It's you want to know also probably why they started with the whole drug trafficking to fund certain black budget things. It's because you stopped letting them pay for $500 toilet seats. So they had to get the money somewhere that was untraceable to where it was going. So then you end up with all these projects and programs and stuff that are tied into, because that's where their funding comes from. Well, they might be protective of that, right? So you are given a choice. You like that? But a choice given with information withheld and information distorted is not a choice. It's called a fucking con job, okay? So you fuckers that say, oh, well, you had a choice, you shut the fuck up. Yes, in some areas, no, in others. In others, it's a fucking con job. So America's choice to get involved in the drug trafficking trade was because you all got pissed off about $500 toilet seats. But here's the thing. Should they have told you, like, hey, you know, when you see this show up in accounting, go to the company that makes the toilet seat and ask them how much they actually got paid. And then just understand that it's a shuffling of paperwork and numbers. So please don't look any further. And yes, we do give those companies a little bonus to be shh, so that they never ask to review the accounting. See, there's all these little things that happen in society that I guess I just have known about and figured everybody else knew about. Like, oh, the CIA's, oh, okay, that makes sense. And they're doing it for, okay, that makes sense. When did all the toilet seats and bolt stories come out? So, you could say we did some of it to ourselves, and we were helped to do it to ourselves. That'd probably be more accurate. We were given the tools to basically tie our own hands. So I don't know all the ins and outs, but I figure that's my theory on certain things. Because really, it's really, or a hypothesis. Would it be a hypothesis? Because doesn't a hypothesis incorporate kind of a theoretical kind of thing going on? See, and that's just it. Is I remember some of these things based on conversations I've had with people, not because I had an education. So I don't know what a fucking thesis is. I've probably written a few without knowing I did. And that really, I guess that really upsets people when you just fucking do it. But you don't know what it's called, and where do I put this part? I got some pieces left over. What's it called? You know, and that's what people jump on sometimes. So what? You could say I'm a wild intellectual, an uneducated intellectual. What's that mean? Maybe I can figure shit out that the educated ones can't figure out because they've formed the habits that you form in public educational systems and private educational systems, to where I am more of a free thinker because I have had to identify and prioritize things to learn or what interests me. So I've had to learn a whole different set of priorities than most of America, just because of how I had to survive. And with that, you like my little bendy pipe? I think that is totally cool. I can drop it and it doesn't break. So, with that, you know, I just get annoyed, irritated, and wonder what some people's agendas are. And it just gets a bit annoying. But I do have to say I like that TV show Britannia. And I'm glad it's definitely says it's historical fantasy fiction. But there's little tidbits here and there, just certain mind things, certain magics, I guess, or medicines, things that I've repressed in myself. It would make sense that some of those things would be there because of just, you know. But anyways, it also makes sense as to why my stepmother told me not to learn any of the Druidic ways. But the thing is a lot of the modern Druidic ways aren't the old Druidic ways, and people don't understand how close the way and the Druidic ways were and how they got along 2,000 years ago. What I mean by the way is what you all call Christianity. Christian is actually a derogatory term, by the way. Don't you like how they got us all to call ourselves niggers? I mean, think about it. If somebody asked you what you believed in and what path you followed, and you said the way, how many paths call themselves the way? Right? Simple, it's basic, it's direct. It's a way of harmony. So, with that, I'm going to do the best I can and try not to get upset with people wrapped up in their addiction. And maybe I'll find some intellectual somewhere of like mind that, you know, that'd be nice. To have a sane conversation about things that most people take into insane areas, which is a very difficult thing to do. Because when you start talking about certain things with people, you don't know if the person understands them as the way they really are, as well as understands that they don't know everything, compared to the person that understands those things based on conspiracy theory, this, that, or some new age, whatever. And it's really difficult to not get upset, because quite often the conspiracy theory ones, they don't want to listen to the science of something or the evidence. They just want to talk about it and fantasize about it and add some other spice to it, because it's all fiction to them. So, but they talk about it as it's reality. So I don't know. I don't like thinking that there's that many schizophrenics or people that easily fall for fairy tales, but it's the way it looks. So with that, I gotta go take a piss. Catch you later. God bless y'all. Have a good day.